Coming off the heels of Microsoft's blockbuster announcement that they're buying Activision Blizzard for a staggering $70 billion, it doesn't look like Sony is going to take things lying down, as they had their own bit of news today, announcing they are buying Bungie, the makers of Destiny, for $3.6 billion. I said in my video about the Microsoft purchase that I think we're in store to see a lot more moves like this coming soon. I didn't think it was going to be this soon, and here we are. It's definitely time to start asking, is this the start of a new sort of arms race in the gaming sphere? Are we just going to see more and more of these studios getting bought up at an even faster rate? Now, I want to start off by saying these acquisitions take time. I certainly don't think this was all done in response to like Activision Blizzard's acquisition by Microsoft that just happened a couple weeks ago. This deal has certainly been in the works much longer than that, because, you know, I see people out here being like, oh, Microsoft just bought this big $70 billion company, and then all Sony can do is buy this little baby smaller one. You know, Microsoft bought Call of Duty. Sony can only get Destiny. I don't think that's what happened at all. But the actual announcement of it, I think, could very well have to do with Microsoft's announcement of buying Activision Blizzard. I'm sure you've got investors on Sony's end asking, like, what they're doing to counter it, and yeah, here we are. So yes, this certainly isn't as big of a bombshell as the one Microsoft recently dropped, but it's still significant. This, in my opinion, is a top-tier studio in the FPS space. Like I said, they've got Destiny, which I think Destiny 2 is a very well-made game. I mess with it from time to time since it's on Xbox Game Pass, which you gotta wonder how that might be affected in the future. And while I'm not super into the whole MMO FPS deal, I think it plays extremely well. Tight controls, the guns feel great to shoot, all that good stuff. And obviously this is the studio behind all the classic Halo games, interestingly enough. So this is definitely something worth having in your camp. I do think it's crazy to think that, again, this is not only the studio that made the classic Halo games going over to Sony, but on top of that, don't forget, they had that whole publishing deal with Activision. It was only recently that Bungie split from them, so it's like they split and Activision ends up on the Microsoft, the Xbox side, and Bungie ends up on the Sony PlayStation side. It's just, that's so wild. But yeah, I think this is a smart pickup that sort of fills a gap in Sony's lineup. You know, I said in that video that when I talked about the Microsoft acquisition, Sony still has some of the best exclusives out there, but they've definitely fallen off when it comes to FPS. They really could use a big shooter IP to compete with the likes of Halo. There are established IPs that could be revived with Bungie, like Killzone, Resistance, etc., even though I assume Destiny will remain their core focus. Also, it's worth mentioning that in an interview about the whole acquisition, CEO Jim Ryan said that they are getting, quote, aggressive with live service games in the future, and that they hope that Bungie's experience will help them in that space. So more live service games coming out of PlayStation. I'm sure people are going to be thrilled to hear that. Of course, as always when it comes with acquisitions, a big question is, what are they saying about Destiny going forward, especially with it being an MMO that many are already extremely invested in on various platforms. Sony has stated that Bungie will remain an independent subsidiary, a multi-platform studio with the option to self-publish. In Bungie's official blog post, they wrote, quote, "We remain in charge of our destiny." Very cute. We will continue to independently publish and creatively develop our games. We will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. Our games will continue to be where our community is, wherever they choose to play. With Sony Interactive Entertainment support, the most immediate change you will see is an acceleration in hiring talent across the entire studio to support our ambitious vision. If this speaks to you and you want to help us put a dent in the universe, we are hiring across all disciplines for Destiny 2 and for all new worlds beyond. So it seems pretty promising in terms of multi-platform specifically for Destiny, but these things can obviously change. It's not like they were going to remove or stop supporting Destiny 2 on platforms that it's already on, and I'm sure if they were planning to, say, make Destiny 3 an exclusive, it's not like that's something they would drop on people now. I mean, imagine all the people playing on Xbox right now hearing that the sequel is going to be an exclusive to Sony. And don't forget, you could also still put games on PlayStation consoles and PC and have them technically be multi-platform. I mean, multi-platform doesn't mean every platform. Us Switch owners, we certainly know something about that. Basically, I say always take the initial news with a grain of salt. I think you can see how it looks like things are going to play out long-term with Bethesda under Microsoft. When the actual announcement hits and everyone is talking about it, you're going to want to come off as friendly to everyone as possible, put yourself in a good light. But I mean, Sony definitely historically hasn't been in a rush to put their games on competing systems like the Xbox, as Microsoft has. So yeah, I definitely wait and see with all that. But yeah, in terms of a purchase, I think this was a solid pickup by Sony. Like I said, I think it fills a gap kind of in their library. Not even one I was really thinking about when considering all the potential purchases. Again, with them just recently splitting from Activision, I wasn't even really thinking about them selling themselves to another company. Again, crazy how that all played out, them splitting and ending up on Sony's side opposed from Activision on the Xbox side. Regardless, things are definitely heating up when it comes to acquisitions in this space. It's looking like this is going to be a big year for them. I mean, God, it's still January, people. Like I said, while I don't think this acquisition was done in response to the Activision Blizzard purchase, you could argue, I guess, that it was in response to past ones like Bethesda, but the announcement timing, I definitely think, had to do with the Activision Blizzard purchase. And now, as these companies are showing their hands, you're going to have more new deals being sought out. And while we're talking about what Microsoft and Sony are doing now, what they're going to do next, you still got Nintendo over there. Like, do they potentially have something going on similarly? Even though I know people like to consider them largely separate, these are Nintendo's competitors, and I'm sure Nintendo has investors wondering, like, are we just going to watch Sony and Microsoft buy every other studio on the planet? So it will be interesting to see definitely what happens there. I know while on one hand this stuff is exciting to talk about, speculate about, it's also not great seeing the industry effectively getting smaller as these big studios get acquired. You do have to worry again, while everyone says, oh, this is the start of a big, great new thing. Bungie said that when they were acquired by Activision too. How'd that work out? But I also want to throw in here, you've got to think about the fact that if, one company doesn't buy a studio, a different one might. I think at least when studios get acquired, you want to see them go somewhere that, it makes sense, that they'll be treated hopefully well. And we mostly focus these conversations around, the big three, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. But you've got the likes of Amazon and Google out there who also have their eyes set on this industry with a lot of capital, a lot of money at their disposal. And with practically no foothold in gaming, the easiest way for them to get in big time would be to also buy some big studios. And after seeing how things have been handled, like, Google Stadia, the New World MMO from Amazon that had that huge debut and then just tanked, I think I'd rather at least one of the big three be doing these pickups for now. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on Sony's announcement that they're acquiring Bungie for $3.6 billion. Do you think we're headed into an arms race of sorts with a bunch more acquisitions to come in the near future? As always, I'm the Shy Guy, Johnny Zakari, and thanks for watching.